Hello team players! Shining Kingdoms is finally out, and that means it's time for brand new spells. Let's get into it. I'm going to start with one of my favorite spells from this book, Avenging Wildwood. This is basically the offensive version of the Protector Tree spell, but this spell is arguably better because the tree has more hit points, more AC, and better saves. In addition, the tree actively attacks enemies when you cast the spell and every time you sustain it, giving them more of a reason to attack it instead of you. It also does good damage and heightens pretty well as well. In addition, the spell can do bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage, your choice. It's a very good spell and I highly recommend it. Next we've got Eagle's Cry, which does great sonic damage and frightens enemies, even on a successful saving throw. It has very good range as well. This one is basically like an eagle screaming in people's faces. Another great spell that I highly recommend as well. Next we've got Equal Footing. This spell only works if the target is faster than you on land. You're reducing their speed and making them clumsy. Basically means they're giving them 2 left feet. Ironically, this spell will not put them on equal footing with you most of the time. They'll either be worse off than you, or they'll be better than you still. Either way, lowering their speed and decreasing all their dex-based stuff is pretty darn good. I recommend this one too. And then we've got Radiant Globe. Any ranged projectiles that try to go through the spear are destroyed. Attackers are dazzled if they fail on the fort save, or blinded if they critically fail. Can come in really handy. Now we get to the new teleportation spells that are automatically available to wizards of the new teleportation wizard school, starting with Echo Jump. This one allows you to teleport a pretty good distance and do pretty great force damage to all enemies in the area of your previous location. It also heightens pretty well. Great way to get out of sticky situations. Now let's talk about Forest of Gates. This is effectively the primal version of Umbral Journey, but it doesn't last as long and you can't go as far. But it has a really cool upside. You get to treat the journey as if you had 8 hours worth of rest, but you don't get abilities like spells back. Unfortunately, it also has a downside. Depending on how you do on your Arcana or Nature check, you may end up pretty far away from where you want to be. So be careful about this spell. Next up is King's Castle. This spell is really good if your melee fighter is not in melee combat and you're in melee combat and don't want to be. Terrain Transposition is actually a pretty cool spell as well. You get to select up to 2 creatures who must make fortitude saving throws. You get to teleport creatures where you want them to be. This spell does not say you cannot teleport them into hazardous situations. You just have to teleport them into a space they can fit in, that's within the area, unoccupied, and within your line of sight. So you can teleport them into a square with a trap. They also take really good bludgeoning damage if they fail or critically fail, on top of any damage they take for being in their new space. Fantastic spell for taking out enemies quickly, if there's some kind of hazard in the room. Next we've got a really cool spell with Trade Items, which allows you to switch items around. When I read this spell, I was picturing a wizard alchemist being like, oh, I'm gonna steal your weapon, and now a bomb just went off in your hand. I doubt that's how it would actually work, but you get the general idea. You can also use this to move party members' items around, like swapping an invisibility potion for an elixir of life, or something to that effect. They do get a reflex save against this if they are unwilling to let go of whatever item they have in their hand. And finally, for the new arcane spells, we have Warping Pole. You get to pick an ally and teleport them within range and give them resistance to damage, all as a reaction. This works on any instance of damage, doesn't matter what type it is. I love this spell, and I highly recommend it. Alright, we've got one more type of spell with the Rivethun Spells. Starting with Attacked from Within. We get to do good spirit damage. And remember, spirit damage works on pretty much everything except constructs. In addition, we get to scare the shiznick out of them, even if they succeed on the saving throw. And if we crit fail, we also make them off guard, which does stack with Frightened. It is a very cool spell that is available to divine casters. Defended by Spirits is basically Forbidding Ward, except no defensive bonuses. Instead, every time the selected enemy attacks a selected ally, they take spirit damage. But enemies generally know that the spirits are there, and attacking the selected ally will cause them to take damage. This spell is fantastic on any tanky character, since the selected enemy knows that they're going to take damage if they attack your designated ally. They're more likely to go after you, the tank, which is what you want. If you can get this spell on something like a champion, that's amazing. And there are definitely ways to do it. Next we have Manifestation of Spirits. One enemy within 30 feet might be stupefied or even confused, depending on how they do on their saving throw. The duration is also affected by how they do on their saving throw. And at 5th rank, this spell can target up to 5 creatures. Decent spell. Not great, but decent. Now let's talk about Pain of Ages. This spell does good spirit damage and can stun enemies for an entire round if they crit fail on the will save. It's also a burst with great range, which means you can hit multiple enemies with this. Pretty great. Next up is Spirit Ward, which basically works exactly like the heal spell does, except it gives a defensive bonus, but it only works on creatures with the spirit trait and haunts. So this one is very situational. But if you're in a campaign with a lot of things like ghosts and haunts, this can be a great spell. Otherwise, you're probably better off picking something else. Also, the 3-action version only targets you and your allies, no enemies. So in a way, it's actually better than the heal spell. Spiritual Renewal is another one of my favorite spells in this book. It's insane. It's a 4th rank spell that gives fast healing 8 for 4 rounds. It may only last 4 rounds, but fast healing 8 for a 4th rank spell is insane. And this spell heightens extremely well too. A fantastic healing option, but only for divine casters. With spiritual transports, you can transport yourself and any of your pets that are near you, such as a familiar or an animal companion. But you don't get to take anybody else. However, your items do teleport with you, regardless of their size or any other effects of them. And the last spell in this book is Veil of Spirits. You get to dazzle opponents and give them a weakness to spirit damage, as long as they aren't immune to spirit damage, which is basically everything but constructs. Now you don't need to be a thaumaturge in order to give an enemy a weakness at low levels. Before, you had to wait until 4th rank and seal fates. Now you can do it with a rank 2 spell, and you can hit multiple enemies with this, unlike Seal Fates. But you do have to be careful with this spell because it's all creatures in the burst, not just your enemies. So this might not be a great spell to cast if you know your enemy can do spirit damage, which is another reason why recall knowledge might be important. And those are all the new spells in the new Shining Kingdoms book. If this video helps you, make sure you leave a like and talk about these spells in the comments. Let me know what you think. I love hearing from viewers. And of course, if you want path builders for any of my builds, or you want me to do a video on your build right here on this channel, you can join my Patreon page. Or if you want a conversation about these spells, my Discord is where you want to be. And right here is a video that YouTube thinks you'll like. Thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.